And Kat, the governor is touting 71 arrests, 145 stolen cars recovered, illegal firearms, drugs seized, and that the CHP will continue these surges in other areas. My question to you, is Oakland safer after all these arrests that the governor is now touting?
So a couple of things about that, right? I was first talking to folks about the fact that the governor was going to send 120 CHP officers here. One of the things I responded to was the governor's initial statement that the smaller cohort of CHP officers that he had in Oakland had recovered 200 stolen cars. That is actually the one thing that law enforcement is good at. And part of why they are good at that is because they ride around all day, popping license plate readers. The second thing that I'll say about that is while having your car stolen, as I know personally, is annoying, and or bipped is annoying, right? It is actually not the most pressing issue facing Oakland or Oaklanders. The most pressing thing facing Oakland and Oaklanders are the rise of homicides and the rise of robberies. That is not the majority of engagements that CHP had. To your point, the majority of engagement they had was dealing with the recovery of stolen cars. So our cars may be safer, but we as Oaklanders are not.
Do more officers mean safer streets, though?
They absolutely do not. There is little to no data, actually, unless that data is being pushed forth by a law enforcement lobby. There is little to no data that shows that more cops mean safer streets. They don't even necessarily always mean a deterrent. I am not the only Oaklander that has, with my own eyes, watched cars get bipped in front of OPD, and OPD do absolutely nothing. The second thing is what the data does show is that the more engagement with law enforcement our communities have, the more violence at the hands of law enforcement our communities endure without the communities becoming any safer. And the third thing that is absolutely fact, and again, a data-driven point, is that cops do not prevent crime. They respond to it after the fact, which is why those of us who are clamoring for investment in prevention, clamoring for the violence not to happen in the first place, are saying that for a city and a state that are millions and millions of dollars in deficit, and this is likely going to be the one bite we get at a large investment apple to make our city safer, why would we not put those dollars into the things that stop crime from happening in the first place? Because if the police have been called, the rape has already happened, the murder has already happened, the home invasion has already happened, right? As opposed to getting to, as I say, getting to the gun before the bullet flies.
Where would you like to see that money go? Where would you like to see the resources go?
I'd like to see it go into housing, education, living wage jobs, mental health, trauma supports. And the reason for that is simple. Healthy, happy, housed people do not harm people. Wounded, desperate, disregarded people hurt people. So if we keep responding to violent people with the violence of the carceral state, we're going to continue to live in and exacerbate the violence that we are living in right now.
It seems like those in charge are happy with the results of this recent surge that happened in Oakland, and the CHP will continue these surges with other local law enforcement agencies all across the East Bay. Does that concern you?
Well, first and foremost, these partnerships already existed. To act like CHP doesn't talk to OPD, doesn't talk to the Alameda County Sheriffs, doesn't talk to Emeryville PD, that's just false. These relationships already exist, and our taxpayer dollars already go to ensuring that they are maintained and strengthened on a regular basis. I think that an announcement had to come out today because when the first announcement that 120 CHP officers were coming to Oakland was put forth, no one said they were just going to be here for 5 days, right? What the mayor made it sound like, what the governor made it sound like, what those that are attempting to seed a right-wing political movement here in Oakland made it sound like is that they were coming and they were coming to stay. There is no way that any public safety expert, whether they are believers in police as being crime solvers or preventers, or someone like me who knows very well that they are not, no public safety expert is going to tell you that you can deal with the rise in violence and burglaries that we've had either in 5-day operations or in sporadic surges. And my understanding is when they do the surges moving forward, and we do not know how often, or how many officers. But what we did hear CHP say today is it wasn't going to be with 120.
Did the surges, did that surprise you, or were you expecting more of a long-term solution out of this?
It actually did surprise me. I mean, I don't know exactly how long I thought that they were going to be here, but because they were stating that they were coming to deal with violent crime, and like I said, no public safety expert would think or believe that you could do that in a matter of 5 days, or even with going back and forth, right? I did expect a longer tenure, and I can only say that I was expecting that, and I was bracing myself for the first Black, Brown, Indigenous, or poor person that ended up seriously harmed or killed.
So any chance this works?
I don't, not in stopping crime. Now they may arrest more people for sure than OPD has been doing, as OPD has been engaged in blue flu for the last 4 years. But do I think that there's going to be a direct correlation to homicides and robberies going down because CHP is during sporadic surges? I absolutely do not. Do I think that maybe OPD will stop doing blue flu? And do I think that people will say that numbers have shifted and have law enforcement take responsibility for it? Absolutely. And I would also point that crime is trending down across areas across the country.